This game is for no one. I've been seeing that take everywhere about Arknights Endfield. That is disappointing, confused, or even doomed. But here's the thing, I've been consistently streaming and playing the game for the past 2 months, and I don't feel that way at all. So either I am the exception, or the narrative is way too overblown. Now, don't get me wrong, Endfield is not perfect. A lot of the criticism out there is actually valid, and honestly, some of those videos make really strong points. Constructive criticism is important, especially this early into a game's life. But calling the game doomed? Saying it's for no one? The game is so bad that you feel the need to announce that you're quitting the game? That is what I can't understand. So I made this video not to bash the people that criticize the game. I just want to share my own opinion and tell you guys the reasons why I am more hopeful about the game than most people I've seen recently have been. Because I don't just think Endfield has potential, I think it has a real shot at actually reaching it. And I've got 3 reasons why. Number 1. It's actually unique. If I have one word to describe Endfield, it's that it is unique, it's bold, and it is not afraid to be different. Wait, that was like 5 different words. But my point stands. Right now, a lot of modern gacha games follow a very similar formula, especially the one popularized by Hoyo, especially by Genshin. Endfield definitely took some inspirations as well, but it is one of the few modern gacha games that is actively trying to break away from the traditional system. And there is no bigger example than the factory system. They make the factory system into a core progression mechanic, which is such a bold decision. It is what caught my attention all the way back during the beta. And let's be real, it's not for everyone. In fact, it's probably one of the biggest reasons some people bounce off the game. But that is exactly why I respect it. They knowingly added a system that would turn some players away. Players who seek comfort in playing similar feeling games they are used to with previous gacha games. And Hypergraph actually committed to the factory system. And it is kind of rare for one of the core progression system of a gacha game to be this unique. And you know what? A lot of people, including me, do enjoy it a lot. It is incredibly addictive. I've had moments where I log in just to tweak my factory for a few minutes, and suddenly it's midnight. Hours just flew by. Sometimes I would even forget that I'm playing a gacha game. It is literally satisfactory with a gacha skin. Watching the factory you build from scratch actually produce resources you could use, instead of just traditionally collecting them in the open world, is something so unique and so fresh. And it gives me a sense of satisfaction that no other gacha game actually can provide. So from that alone, it is a strong enough reason for me to keep coming back to the game. Even after they added that stupid sewage system in 1.1 that took me hours to figure out and set up. Like seriously, sometimes it feels like I'm learning engineering trying to understand the new system here. I swear to God, if that sewage system is clocked again, I'm gonna fucking flip. Now, not only the factory system that is unique, exploration is also something that is a bit different in this game. Most gacha games actually try to make traversal smoother and faster, like Wuthering Waves for example. They made climbing, gliding, and even flying very seamless and very easy, which is a really good thing. Well, Endfield actually does the opposite. It takes them away. No climbing, no gliding, features that feels almost mandatory after games like Breath of the Wild, and of course, Genshin Impact. And yeah, it kinda turns people off. But again, they committed to it. Instead, they encourage players to build a zipline system, so players can put ziplines across a map to make future explorations much more seamless and way more convenient. And doing it actually is a bit relaxing. Almost therapeutic, really. It reminds me a lot of Death Stranding, actually. Facilities placed by other players can even pop up. Again, like Death Stranding. You can even do delivery missions, where you deliver packages. like Death Stranding. Wait, is this just anime Death Stranding? But yeah, the exploration can be a bit restrictive. Like sometimes I find myself trying to climb stuff, but I can't. But setting up zip lines and then enjoying the view while you zip through the sky, it is something very fresh. Again, the keyword is fresh, and I enjoy it a lot. Both the setup and eventually using it. It is something you can't find in other gacha games as well. Beyond that, there are many more little changes that they made that make it so different from other gacha games. Like the gearing system. Unlike most modern gacha games, you don't have to pray to the gacha gods that your upgrade goes to the correct substat that you want to upgrade. Instead, you can choose the exact subset you want to upgrade and then have a chance of success or failing the upgrade, which is a lot better in my opinion. Even though with my luck, I still fail a lot, even on the high chance. And of course, the gacha system. It is one aspect of the game nobody can actually agree on, and I kind of stand on the middle. If you actually look at the math people smarter than me have done, it is a better system than people give it credit for. But it can feel kind of bad, especially if you lose 50-50 multiple times in a row, or you get so lucky with the character banner, then you basically have no tickets to get a weapon. I feel like just getting more sources to get the arsenal ticket would solve half of the issue I have with the system. But the point is, the system is also different than most gacha games, both in a good and a bad way. For the first time in a while, a gacha game actually feels fresh to me, and that matters a lot, especially if you've played a lot of them. Now, is it all perfect? No. Again, the criticism that is out there are all valid, and I am not blindly positive to the game. Some of these systems need serious tweaking. The factory, for example, even though I did praise it, it kinda loses purpose once you optimize it. You don't even need to touch it anymore. Same with the tower defense mode. There's no strong endgame loop that keeps you engaging with these systems, and I think they need to change that. But again, the foundation is there, and with the right updates, it could become something really special, in my opinion. Which leads to my second point. The developers are actually listening. I know this is a sensitive topic because a lot of people feel like the devs aren't moving fast enough, and I kinda get that. But at the same time, I think some criticism ignored context. This is only version 1.1, the first major patch. A lot of it was probably in development before launch, and even then, they have already addressed quite a few complaints. For example, I'll make a list, okay? For example, the amount of tutorials that people complain about, they actually allow you to skip most of them while giving you the rewards. People also complain about not having enough standard pulls, which they give us more in this patch. They also added a 3-line engraving kit that allows you to choose each subset you actually want for an essence. While only being one per patch, it is still nice when you do want to build a character and try to get right essence. And many more small things like longer wire distance before snapping, the ult gauge and also cooldown being reset every time you do a trial or reset a trial, which is really helpful. And the biggest one so far, they allow you to escape the overhead view from the factory pressing escape. So no more caps lock, escape, escape, caps lock. And much more has been confirmed to be coming as well on 1.2. And remember, this is still just the very first patch, but they have addressed a bunch of things that people have been complaining about. But people are saying they're not changing fast enough? Like, do you expect them to change every single problem the game has from a single patch? Which was also the first major patch of the game that they probably developed before the game even launched. I think people are being too impatient, saying the game will never get good and it is doomed to fail. I think it's way too harsh. Like, the game has many issues, like I'm not denying that, again, I am not. But people are judging way too early from the first major patch, where they indeed improve a lot of things. I still feel confident that eventually they will come good, and little by little, as long as they do listen to our feedback, the game can still reach its high potential. Number 3, the story. The story is probably one of the game's weakest point right now, and I agree with that criticism. The early pacing, especially in Valley 4, really drags, man. And again, the tutorial did not help either. It felt really slow. Which is a shame because everything around the story is pretty strong. Have you guys seen the character models? They're insanely detailed. The visuals, especially things like rain effect, look absolutely insane. Like, they did not have to make the rain effects on the character model to be this good. But I'm glad they did because they look absolutely amazing. And the world itself has a deep lore. Look at this menu I opened about different races. They have so many races, each with different cultures, politics, all of them are actually in the game. Which is the product of having the world in Endfield to be shared with the OG game. So there is already a deep and pre-established lore that is very interesting. But the 1.0 story did not fully do that justice, especially at the start. And in a gacha game, that really matters. You are trying to sell the characters, but if players are not emotionally invested, design alone won't carry that. But the reason I'm still hopeful is simple. They have already shown that they can write. If you played the OG Arknights, you probably already know they are very capable in writing, even if the storytelling format is different. And even within Endfield, Leviathan's Lavatane story in 1.0 was really good, pretty emotional as well. And even parts of Yvonne's story, especially the ending part, was also pretty good. And the most recent main story we got in 1.1 was a noticeable step up. It's not perfect, but Dantang's character in particular was handled much better than anyone else in the previous quest. Again, it's not perfect. Ruan Yi's arc, for example, needed a lot more build-up in my opinion, but the improvement is clear, and if they keep improving, I do feel hopeful that they can have a very interesting story, making use of the deep lore they already have in the game. So yeah, despite everything, I'm still very optimistic about Arknights Endfield. It is not perfect, it has issues, and some of the criticism it gets is absolutely justified. But I don't agree with the overall doom and gloom surrounding it, because this feels like a game with real potential. And more importantly, it feels like a game that is willing to improve. It has its foundation, and if the devs keep listening, refining the systems, building on what's already there, I genuinely think it can turn to something great. So for now, I'm gonna stay and keep playing, redoing my factory over and over and over again, losing my mind trying to get the sewage system from my copium ore to work. And still feel optimistic that the game will eventually come good. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you liked the video, consider subscribing and give my video a like, or even share it. It would help me out a lot. This is my first ever long form video, so I hope it's not too bad, and if there are some areas to improve upon, do share in the comments as well. I would like to improve and make even more of these kinds of video. I also stream on YouTube and Twitch regularly, so do come by and hang out. Thank you so much again, guys, and see you guys next time.